Welcome to Drop Dead Scary, where the scariest things hit you quietly. No rush, no screams, just the slow, inevitable drop into something wrong. Tonight's story is about a perfectly ordinary Tuesday that starts with coffee and ends with the realization that someone has been inside your life, reading your books, drinking your coffee, and waiting for you to explain it all away. Settle in, turn down the lights, and let's begin. The Tuesday started with coffee. Marian ground the beans the way she always did, standing in the small kitchen of her apartment while the city outside began its slow morning assembly. She listened to the familiar sounds, the elevator in the hallway, a neighbor's television, pigeons on the window ledge, and felt the particular comfort of a day that had not yet asked anything of her. She was 38 years old. She worked in permissions at a mid-size publishing house, had done so for 11 years. She owned 2 houseplants that she had named privately after classical composers. She was not unhappy. This is important. She was not unhappy. She poured her coffee and opened her laptop. The email sat at the top of her inbox. The sender line read simply, "You left this behind." There was no attachment, no body text beyond the subject line itself. The sender address was a long string of letters and numbers, auto-generated, the kind spam filters usually caught. Marian stared at it for a moment, then archived it without thinking much. Her coffee was good. She had a 9 o'clock call. She forgot about it entirely until Thursday. On Thursday, she was eating lunch at her desk when she found herself thinking about the dry cleaning she kept forgetting to collect. She'd dropped off a coat 3 weeks ago, the gray wool one she liked, and had not gone back. She made a note in her phone. On her way home that evening, she stopped at the cleaners on Mercer. The woman at the counter checked her name, disappeared through the plastic curtain, and came back empty-handed. "Already picked up," the woman said. Marian blinked. "When?" "Let me check." She turned to the register. "Last Friday." Marian stood with her hands in her coat pockets. "That isn't possible. I didn't pick it up." The woman turned the screen slightly toward her. There was the ticket number, the date, the time. 2:47 p.m., a Friday when Marian had been at a departmental meeting until 4. "Somebody else, maybe?" the woman offered. "A husband?" "I live alone," Marian said. She went home without the coat. She told herself there had been an error with the ticketing system, that someone had taken the wrong coat, that these things happened. She almost believed this. The almost was small enough that she filed it away under nuisance and not under fear. The following Monday, she noticed the book. It was on her nightstand, a novel she had finished and placed in the pile by the door months ago. The pile she kept meaning to take to the second-hand shop on Canal. She remembered putting it there. She could picture herself doing it. But here it was on the nightstand, face down, spine cracked at a page somewhere in the middle. She lived alone. She had not had anyone over since early March. Marian stood in the bedroom doorway for a long time. She thought about the coat. She thought about the email. She thought about how the mind, when tired or stressed, manufactures explanations so smoothly that you don't notice the seams. She had been tired. She had been stressed. She picked up the book and put it back in the pile by the door. She checked the lock on her front door. She checked it a second time. Nothing happened for 2 weeks. She began to relax by degrees. She had the locks changed anyway, a precaution she framed as reasonable rather than fearful, and felt better afterward. She found a different dry cleaner. She began sleeping well again. Then, on a Wednesday evening, she was organizing the drawer of her bedside table and found a receipt. It was from a coffee shop 4 blocks from her office. The date on it was a Thursday, 3 weeks prior. The order printed on the receipt was a medium oat milk latte, her exact habitual order, right down to the shot of vanilla she had started adding the previous autumn. Her name, Marian, was written by hand in the barista's shorthand at the top. She had not bought that coffee. She had been in Chicago that Thursday for a rights conference. She sat on the edge of her bed and held the receipt in both hands, and for the first time she allowed herself to feel what she had been carefully not feeling. It moved through her like cold water filling a room. She felt it rise past her knees. She called the building's management company the next morning. She asked, keeping her voice even, reasonable, the voice of someone making a nuisance inquiry, whether any contractors had been given access to her unit in the past 2 months. There was a brief hold. Then, just the standard inspection in September, Ms. Voss. And then your emergency contact. She was in twice, I think. Once in late October. Marion's throat tightened. I'm sorry. My emergency contact. Yes. A pause. Your sister. She said you'd asked her to collect a few things. Marion was an only child. She had listed no emergency contact on her lease. She sat with the phone in her hand and thought about all the ordinary things that had happened inside her apartment while she was away. Things done with the patient certainty of someone who had a key, who knew her schedule, who knew exactly how long she would keep explaining things away to herself. Someone who was still counting on it.